for us to take a seat because we are about to start. I apologize for the delay with the food. It's coming, I promise you. But please take your seats. Take your seats, guys. We have packed agenda for tonight. It's going to be quite interesting, I promise you. But before we actually start talking about LLMs, before we talk about generative AI and how it helps us eliminate SQL and all other exciting topics, let's spend a few minutes talking about the place where we're all together right now. It's the company called PMG. It's technically a marketing agency. And I say technically because if someone asks me, I don't believe it's a marketing agency. We are a fake marketing agency. We are a software company that pretends to be a marketing organization. So bear with me. My name is Vlad Pavlov. I am a senior director of AI and software engineering here at PMG. I joined the company about a year back, last September. Before joining PMG, I worked in the software industry for about 20 years. I co-founded 3 startups. I was a director in large companies, Intel, Microsoft. I also was with mid-sized companies, some different types of positions like VP engineering, CTO, etc. I never worked for a marketing agency. Even more, I never worked for marketing industry. So when we were talking with a recruiter from PMG, I was very surprised why a marketing agency would need someone like me. Apparently, not only we are a marketing agency, we are one of the most efficient marketing agencies because how marketing agencies are measured by return on advertisement. And we offer one of the best in the industry returns of advertisement. Why? Exactly as I said, because we are not, in our heart, we are not just a marketing agency. We are a technology company. At that time, when I joined the company, we had about 100 engineers who developed a suite of tools that basically automate all the workflows that marketing people are using. And because of that, the remaining part of the organization, about 400 marketing people at that point of time, they were way more efficient than marketing people from other organizations, other companies. So it was about a year back. Now, since that time, we already acquired 2 marketing companies. One is about 170 people, mostly marketing people, and other is about 200 people. So the marketing part of our organization grows significantly. The engineering part of our organization is not growing that fast. And yes, maybe we will acquire someone, maybe not. In terms of engineering, I don't know. But I know for sure that we need a lot really good engineers. And I also know that we have a lot to offer engineers. We are one of the best companies, not only because we offer very, very good results to our customers, but also because we love our people. Many companies say, hey, people are our priority, and they just say it. Here at PMG, we mean it. There were even examples when the company fired a customer because the customer didn't treat our employees well. And you can see what you see around is basically how we work every day, how we live every day. We have a lot of fun. We love sharing food. We love sharing, doing educational sessions. This is PMG. You're going to learn more about us later today. Feel free, there are PMG employees here. Feel free to chat with people, ask about what they're doing. We are going to have 2 of our engineers speaking tonight about the projects that we are doing right now. And as a marketing organization, of course, we are very afraid that AI is going to make really, really significant impact on the entire industry. And many marketing organizations are basically going to die. Many software organizations are going to die. Let's face it. We want to be ahead of the curve. We want to change faster than the industry is changing. The very first AI-powered product that we announced was, I think it was March. Jerry was leading the team that developed that product. So we are moving super, super fast towards becoming an AI-first organization. And today we want to share our experience, our learnings from the very first products that we created. So what should you expect today or tonight? First of all, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to finish, and we are going to have a very short presentation about AI Camp, the organization that basically organizes all this. We are just hosting, we are just providing venue, but there is this amazing organization, AI Camp, who is doing all this community development work, and we are super thankful to them for doing it. And we hope to host more meetups like this in the future. After that, we are going to have 3 technical talks. Each technical talk is going to be about half an hour. Somewhere in between, we are going to have a break because unfortunately food got delayed. Theoretically, it was supposed to be here even before you came, but well, it's live. So, however, at some point of time, the food is going to be here. So probably we'll do a break so that everyone can grab some food. And of course, wine is here, coffee is here, all the drinks, it's already here. But I understand that food is also important. After those 3 technical talks, we are going to have very short 5, maybe 7 minutes presentation by our people and culture team. They will talk about the open positions that we have and the interviewing process, so we can learn more about how the practicalities work here. And after that, we'll spend some time just networking, just talking to each other, asking questions, learning from our speakers, learning from each other. I'll be happy to talk about the open positions that we have, because most of these positions, all of these positions are part of my organization. But of course, the most important part, let's learn, let's have fun. And with that, great thank you to AI Camp, who is organizing all those events across the nation and even abroad. So,
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ming Jiang. I'm the AI Camp community manager here at Austin. So we've been hosting this kind of meetups for quite a few years, and we have hosted maybe 40 events like this year. So this is our last this year. So end of year celebration. Okay, so a little bit of AI Camp. So we are a global community here. We have like registered developers is like 300K more, and we just do local chapters like this, and we're flying like from like San Francisco, Seattle, New York, stuff like that, but also Europe and APAC as well. Yeah. So if you want to join us, like we can build local development community, and if you have exciting topics to share, welcome. And yeah, if you have some like collaborations, that's info.aicamp.ai. Okay. So yeah, if you're hiring, if you are like looking for jobs, hosting events, you are more than welcome to like contact me. All right. Yeah, thank you for the hoster today. Because it's dark mode, so it's difficult to see. Sorry. So it's PMG at symbol.ai. Thank you.
we lost the speaker. Speaker, come here. So the next 30 minutes or so, we are going to spend with Abdullah, who is actually based here in Austin. We have offices all around the United States. Our headquarters this year are in Fort Worth, but we just opened a brand new office in Dallas. So next year, our headquarters technically or officially will be in Dallas. But on top of that, we have many offices in other locations, New York City, Austin, a few other locations. We also have offices abroad, Costa Rica, London. The company that I mentioned, the company that has 200 people, which we officially announced the acquisition literally today, I believe. This company is based in London. This is going to be our European branch. So we keep traveling all the time. But Abdullah is actually based here in Austin. So let's talk about how we are going to use AI to kill SQL.
Thank you, Vlad. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Abdullah Hamoud, and today we're going to be talking about or exploring how large language models and AI are transforming data analysis in general. Oh, sure. Hello? Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate it. All right. A little bit of background about myself. I joined PMG in 2021. I joined the Graduate Leadership Program, which is PMG's new grad program that kickstarts new grads careers in digital marketing in general. And it was a good springboard for me to learn about digital marketing since I knew nothing about it before joining PMG, really. After that, I joined the Alli data team as a software engineer, where we work with API integrations such as Google Ads, Pinterest, Reddit, and we extract, blend, and load data into our platform, Alli, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later on. And more recently, I've been awarded for championing AI at PMG by creating Ask Alli, and we can go into more detail about that. But let's not just talk business. I'm going to tell you about my personal interests as well. I do play a lot of video games, mainly Overwatch, maybe a little bit too much, but I do justify it by saying that it does build teamwork. So other than that, I do sew and create clothing for fun. And I recently started powerlifting, which has been a challenge, but an interesting thing to do. And I'm still learning techniques, so I can't lift heavy yet. So that's a little bit about myself, but I'd love to learn about y'all as well. By a raise of hands, who here has already integrated large language models into their platforms in any sort of way? See a few hands at the back. Who here is planning to integrate large language models or AI in their platforms in the future? A couple of people. Awesome. Right. Well, if you're interested in AI, that's something that we're trying to accelerate here at PMG with our platform Alli, which is something that you could be working on as well. So what exactly is Alli? Alli is a marketing intelligence platform that powers digital marketing strategy for our clients. It does provide technology solutions to allow in the moment reporting for ad performance. It also allows our clients to automate actions to act or to act fast as far as like how their ads or to action off of the data that they pull from Alli in general. And to me, we are fortunate to work with some of the biggest clients in the industry or in retail and across different industries as well. They do want to innovate, and we get to innovate with them as well. For PMG's technology teams, we do have a few pillars. We have Alli Data, which I'm a part of. We have Alli Actions, Alli Insights, and our core team as well as a solutions team that creates custom solutions or out-of-the-box solutions for our clients too. And to vendors that allow us to get insights, and sorting through this information and all of the data that we get through our vendors can be a little bit difficult and requires technical knowledge or knowledge of querying languages such as SQL, for example. And that's where generative AI enters for us, because it allows us to simplify that process and reduce the technical know-how that is required for marketers to get to the answers that they need fast. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's discussion, is how we implemented AI to sort of act as a middle person to reduce the friction that goes from asking questions to getting the data that you want. And that's where Ask Alli comes in. That's why it was created. We do intend or want to reduce the friction that is required to get to the insights that they need fast, because it's all about speed and accuracy in marketing in general. Ask Alli itself is considered an augmented analytics tool. What augmented analytics means is that is the utilization of AI in analytics in general. It can help with things like data preparation, generating insights, and in the future, potentially explain those insights and what they mean and the why behind them as well. It is a shift from the old school querying language using or utilizing SQL, and even the drag and drop or the convenient drag and drop actions that are common in business intelligence tools currently. So we're going from natural language processing to generating insights and results for users. And in this, or in the talk that I'm going to be giving, we're going to be covering how we began integrating these concepts into our platform and how it evolved into what Ask Alli is currently. And I'm also happy to learn from y'all what we can do better too. So if you have any suggestions, I'm going to be here after and happy to talk too. But as far as the inception of what Ask Alli currently is, in our journey to sort of understand and solve our user problems, we recognize the challenges faced by marketers and the technical skills that are needed to be able to get insights from the workflows that we currently have in Alli. And those can be complex, and navigating the billions of data points that we have can be difficult. So we're trying to make that accessible through the platform. Our solutions tailored to these challenges do revolve around the simplification of data exploration in general, and allowing the creation of impactful reports that are easy to navigate to. Right, so where we are right now, or where we were before Ask Alli, we do have intuitive or simple visualizations that we create. Our focus is on creating user-friendly reports, or allowing the reports creation process to be user-friendly. And then we do integrate with standardized data, a product of our data engineering team that we can adapt through or across our clients and help us easily onboard clients too. And then comes in Ask Alli, which is our way of utilizing large language models, as I said, as a mediator between people looking for answers and the data that we have from advertising platforms. And in the future, also in Ask Alli, we're aiming to provide deeper insights as to the why of ad performance and not just to how ads are performing. So how does Ask Alli work? It works in 4 simple steps. The user would ask a question like, how are my ad campaigns performing? Or which ads do New Yorkers like most? Or which ads appeal most to millennials on TikTok, for example? And we do add context to that because large language models, while they are trained on large sets of data, to get more accurate results, we have to clarify and add context, such as what acronyms in marketing mean. Marketing does have a lot of jargon in general, and that's where we clarify all of that. Then we send that to the AI, which we currently use GPT-4, OpenAI's model, and it takes that and generates a JSON that we use to execute or get the results for what the user is asking for. We do validate that while AI has gone a long way. We still have some ways to go, so we have to create our own validation as well before executing queries. All right, so this is how it all comes together. As a user, you go into the platform and ask a question like break down performance by channel. And you can also specify a date for the period that you're asking for. You submit that, and then the AI generates the query. You get the selections of the dimensions required and the metrics, and also the date. You also get the intuitive visualization that I mentioned earlier, as well as the data table, which is not shown in this video. All right, it wasn't all smooth sailing. We did have some challenges in the implementation, and I can talk about how everything works behind the scenes first. As far as the capabilities of Ask Alli in general, we do integrate with OpenAI as our large language model, which it takes care of the JSON query part for us. We also integrate with Cube.js, which makes it easier for the front end and the back end to translate from JSON objects to SQL and back. It also has caching functionality that we utilize, and we do follow a model agnostic approach. What does that mean exactly? Has anyone heard of the strategy pattern in software engineering before? A couple of people. We can dive deep into what strategy pattern means or how it can be implemented. The benefits of creating a strategy pattern is that we have flexibility in our large language model integration. While we are integrated currently with OpenAI, it's also easy for us to swap between models and potentially integrate with Claude as an example. Another benefit is that we are able to separate concerns, like the controller or how Ask Alli functions doesn't really care about which model we use. It just has to know that it asks a question and then text is generated through that. So that's a common thing that we have between different models, which also allows us to be scalable and extensible, and we can advance as the industry advances as well. The AI industry is moving super fast right now with how AI and large language models are becoming accessible, and we have to adapt to that too. All right, as far as like how the strategy pattern is implemented, we do define a base strategy. As I said earlier, the common thing between models is that you ask it a question or give it input, and then it generates text for you. So the common thing is to generate an answer or generate text. And then with that, we can implement what are called concrete strategies. So each large language model, like OpenAI's GPT-4 or 3.5, and others like Claude 2 or Claude Instance can have their own concrete class that allows us to implement the specific functionality that is related to the large language model itself. All right. And then we do have a class that handles which models we create when needed, so that if we, for example, want to create a new app that's not Ask Alli, that wants to, for example, get analysis on the results that Ask Alli generates. So we can feed it the results from the Ask Alli answer and ask it to analyze that data and give us text back. And then that is something that could be utilized, for example, to or for client presentations. Now, as far as the challenges and potential solutions that either we've implemented or are still looking for, we have a few. The main ones for me are alignment and formatting. Does anyone here know what alignment means when it comes to large language models? Yes? Can you talk to it? Sorry to put you on the spot, but exactly. So if not all of y'all heard, sorry, your name? Patrick. Patrick said that you do want the large language model to follow the instructions that you give it, and that's where alignment comes in. And thankfully for us, OpenAI at least does have function calling capabilities. We're also constantly trying to refine our prompt to get the results that we needed from the AI. Another option could be that we have not implemented is allowing clarifying questions from the AI to the user and have the user clarify what their intent is and therefore get more accurate results. And then potentially do reinforcement learning from human feedback. This can be as simple as a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on the result that you give the user, and potentially give them text as to why that result is not correct or is not accurate, or why it was an accurate result, and then potentially use that to train the model too. Another problem that we encountered is wait times. Sometimes AI takes a while, and especially if you want data and want it fast, 39 seconds can be a really long time, or at least it would seem like a real long time if you're looking at a loading screen. So what we're trying to do is to adjust our UI UX workflows so that we show steps as far as like where we are in the process of generating the query and potentially showing the data to the user. Another thing that we're experimenting with right now is response streams. So showing text generation to the user as the query is being generated to. And then lastly, as far as like challenges that we're experiencing is testing the prompt changes. While utilizing APIs like OpenAI has been helpful as far as like proofs of concepts and such, when trying to test a AI or a prompt, you're still spending money. And if you implement something like unit tests, that's still occurring costs too. So what we've been doing really is trial and error so far, and that's a problem that we're still experiencing and something that we're looking into in the future too. All right, so what are the next plans for Ask Alli in general? We're trying to do multi-step flow. What does that mean exactly? Potentially utilizing an agent like LangChain, for example, to analyze and act on multi-step queries. Like, I don't just want to ask a question and get data. I want to be alerted based on what the results of that data is. I want an alert to be created so that whenever the data reaches or doesn't reach a certain threshold, I get a Slack notification or an email about that information. I might also want to generate text at the same time, like the analysis that I mentioned earlier about the data. That could be another step in the workflow too. So you have 3 different steps. How do you handle that? Agents currently are a solution to that problem. That's something that we're thinking about implementing in the future too. Other than that, we are experimenting as far as like model reassessment. OpenAI has been good as far as the initial project implementation, but as far as expanding or scaling, it might not be the best solution. So we're trying to see what other models could work better for us. And then industry-wide comparison. As a marketer, you'd want to know how your client is performing in comparison to the industry-wide data as well. So we're thinking about implementing web search, for example, so the AI can search the web, get back data as far as like how the industry is performing, compare that to your KPIs and give you the results. And that's another thing that could be implemented with the agents as well, web search. And the performance prediction, while it's good to get instant or current data about how your ads are performing, you'd also want to know how the future looks like too. That's where performance prediction comes in. Do I know how that's going to happen or how we're going to implement it? Not yet, but that's something that we're thinking about right now. We can try as close as we can. All right. That was Ask Alli. If y'all have any questions, yes. Sorry.
Question number 1 is, why did you choose the name of Alli? Question number 2 is that, and you touched in the future plan, no, that why a tech-savvy company like PMG went through a proprietary foundation model instead of going with an open source one?
So the first question was, why did you name it Alli? I'm not actually sure. So anyone from either like marketing or leadership, who knows why we named it Ask Alli?
So from my understanding is why we've referred to it as Alli, is the A and AI is what really hint towards the AI side of it, right? And so we wanted to give it a human name, and the human name is really a testament to the digital made for human that we believe in as an organization. So Alli was the suitable name for it because it met, I think, all aspects of a human name, but also incorporating the fact that we want to really gear ourselves towards more of an AI functionality at some point. Does that help?
Then the second question was, why would you use a proprietary model like OpenAI in comparison to open source models? While utilizing open source models as an option, it is, or it can be, a cost and also resource intensive option that we can follow. Using a model like OpenAI's, at least initially, makes more sense if you're starting a project. You're assessing how the users are going to be trusting or using the product and then going on from there to potentially go the open source model route. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Yes.
How do you apply judgment or evaluation on the data that comes back? Do you allow the users to say this is a good range and a bad range? A lot of my experience with data reporting doesn't give users an indication of good or bad or what they should do with the data. And I'm wondering, what opportunities do you have to give users that nudge in the right direction?
If I understand correctly, you're asking how can we provide the users like evidence about how accurate their data is and where they can go from there? Oh, that's a good question, actually. I don't think that's something that I personally experienced or I'm currently working on, or what the plans for that is, how to get that, but that's a part of the analysis portion that I mentioned earlier, or could be a part of the analysis portion is, oh, you got this data, what does that mean to you exactly? So that's something that we could potentially implement. I'm not sure how that would look like. Yes.
Hi, my name is Ling. Great presentation, by the way. So I have a question. Let's say you're using GPT for 32K. So you have the context window of 32K like token, and you need to ingest a lot of data from Nike, for example, and you exceed the context limit. So how do you like make sure that all the data is included in the request?
That's actually a good question and something that I should have clarified in the presentation. But what we do is not feed the AI the actual data. We feed it the schema, so it generates the query based on that. Sometimes the tables do get very large to the point where we hit our limit, but the highest limit we've hit was around like 8,000 tokens so far. So we've been good so far, but in the future, if we do need to scale, that's something that we're working with our data engineering team with, as far as like potentially limiting how big the tables are or the schema is to say like currently the limit would be 90 dimensions and measures, for example. Right. Maybe one last question.
What you kind of answered, which is, do you have any data privacy concerns that would cause you to want to run a local AI model or get away from the open AI model? And the other question is, you mentioned LangChain, and just wondering your experience with that and what other frameworks you used and your experience with those frameworks.
Yeah, for sure. As far as like data privacy goes, as far as what we currently feed our models, since we do feed it schema, we're not really concerned as far as like the data itself. We can trust it with words or the schema, but we don't currently feed it, and we refuse to feed it data currently. And this second question is my experience with LangChain, other platforms. You're actually going to hear more about that in the third talk, I believe. When it comes to experience with LangChain, that's the only one really I've tried like proof of concepts in, but I have not tried any other agent frameworks yet. All right. I think that's it as far as my time. Does anyone, where is it? Emily?
First of all, let's say thank you to Abdullah for this presentation and for his work. And he actually received a quarterly award for this project. I believe it was this quarter, right? Yeah, it was basically the most recent award. Apparently the food is here, so I suggest we take a 10-minute break, grab some food, come back to your chairs, and in 10 minutes we are going to have the second talk, which is about foundational models for conversational AI. So 10 minutes, grab some food, and we will continue after that.
It didn't seem like there was a lot of engineering positions for.
There are like 7 or 8 at this point, I believe.
In Dallas. I didn't see any in Austin.
It's interesting. So we have one position which is So take your plates and bring them to your chairs, to your tables. If you feel that you need more, the food is here. It's going to be here all the night. So you're welcome to help yourself. We are finishing our break. We are about to switch to our second presentation. Before we do it, I just got a question from the audience. Is the product that we develop, Ali, is it available online for people to use? Not yet. So this is the history. As I said, we are a marketing agency, and we have huge brands who are our customers, Nike, McDonald's, Apple, that kind of customers. And initially, this suite of tools was developed for our employees to use to make them more productive. Over time, marketing people from our customers, they also wanted to use this tool. So we started giving them access to this tool. And a few years later, we even gave access to this tool, or probably suite of tools, this is better term, to a few competing organizations. There is a few other marketing agencies who are also who licensed Ali and who are also using Ali. However, as of now, it's not available for everyone to use. You can't just go online and to some website and buy subscription. It's part of a strategy. Eventually, at some point of time, we are going to be there. But at this point of time, our kind of biggest priority is to implement the functionality that is requested by our existing users, which are, as I said, mostly our current employees as well as employees of our customers. But as a strategy, yes, eventually it's going to be available for everyone just to buy subscription and to start using. But right now, if you want to do it, it's not there. It's not there. However, the actual number of users that we have is large, and the number of people whose lives we are touching is even larger. Last year, we delivered, Ali helped to deliver ads to over 1 billion consumers worldwide. So basically what we are doing here in this small office, we are touching lives of 20% of world population if we count the adults, right? If you don't count the kids. So this is just amazing. This is just fantastic. And I hope some of you will join us and will be part of this fantastic journey. With that in mind, I think it's time for our second presentation. And our friends from Nebula our friends from, how do you pronounce, Symbol AI, right? Symbol AI, they're going to talk about their foundational models for conversational AI. Let's give them a round of applause. Oh, wow.
All right. I hope everyone can hear. Where is your? Okay. It's here. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here today. So I'm Suprabhat, Applied AI product manager at Symbol AI. Thanks for your time today, this evening. All right, let me. Okay. I think it's best if I hold it. I think that's the best way. So Applied AI product manager at Symbol AI. Let me quickly give you a background of myself. So I graduated in 2019 from Texas A&M University with a master's degree in subsea engineering. I'm not sure any one of you heard of it. So it's underwater technology, where I worked on oil and gas industry projects. But while I was pursuing my master's there, developed a machine learning model to understand and identify the pipeline failures in underwater that is carrying the crude oil from reservoir to topsides. And that's where my journey started in machine learning. And after that, joined another government SaaS company as a product manager there, and an e-commerce company. And then for the last 2 years, I've been at Symbol AI joined them as a technical product manager, and then now I'm an applied AI product manager. Very interesting journey, as I would say, because from mechanical engineering background to now AI product manager, very curious for myself. I don't believe myself still right now that I'm doing this. But so I joined Symbol, and my first product was Web SDK, which most of our customers use right now to build browser-based streaming applications, which handles underlying WebSocket corrections and also connecting to our streaming API just via one API call and handling device management and also on. And from then, I did not, so we've been around for 5 years building task-specific deterministic models for summarization, topics, trackers. So essentially an AI platform for conversation intelligence. And then, and we have grown in this 2 years so much. Our products have been grown so much that now we launched our large language model focusing on conversations. That's the one that I'm going to talk about, which is Nebula. And I'm very excited to see how this is going to be. I mean, next year, will we still have large language models, or are we going to have large multimodal models? Where are we heading? Very excited for that. Yeah. So let me quickly dive deeper into Nebula. Let me talk about our platform, Symbol, for example. So as I mentioned, we are an AI platform for conversations. So we talk about, we take all forms of conversation data and process those and also give intelligence or insights out of it. So technically for developers, we are going to taking all the unstructured data from conversations. It could be meeting data, it could be chat, it could be your daily phone calls, all of them. It could be customer support calls via phone. So you can see WebSockets, RTMP there, or also towards telephony API, SIP, and PSTN, and so on. And with our async APIs, you can process audio files or video files or textual conversations, and also you can stream. As I mentioned, Web SDK is a way you can stream your data to Symbol for conversation intelligence. And we also have a functionality called trackers, which is technically so before this hype of AI that came in when everyone started using ChatGPT and so on, and now we are talking about embeddings. So we have used embeddings before for trackers functionality, where it understands the semantic similarities of the conversations and the keywords that you want to track. And now we launched our large language model, which is foundation model for conversations specifically. And then on the right side, you can see call score API, insights UI, which I term them as a value accelerators for companies, where you can get faster ROI. That's a quick overview of the company. The fun fact is, this is my first time giving a tech talk, so I'm sure I'm gonna remember all of your faces. Okay, Nebula is a foundational model for human conversations. Why do we need a foundational model for human conversations here? You've seen GPT models from OpenAI, Claude, from Anthropic, or Cohere models, or any multiple open source models from Hugging Face and so on. Why do we need conversations? All the models that you're currently using today could be ChatGPT or GPT 3.5 to 4 Turbo right now, Claude 2 or some other Cohere models. These are generic large language models. Yeah, for sure, they have been trained on so much data. It could be 175 billion parameters. It could have 200,000 context length and so on. But all of that is generic internet data. This is where Nebula comes into play. So Nebula is a foundational model specifically trained on conversation data, which could be multiple forms of communication data, and is trained for conversational tasks. It could be that's the reason it's trained for multi-party human conversation understanding. And It's created for conversational tasks, and yeah. Let me quickly dive into what kind of tasks let me take a step back and understand. I'll give you a background of what businesses look for in a conversation. It could be data privacy. It could be the capability to have the ownership of the model, I would say, and fine-tuning capabilities, and all these. I mean, could let me take a step back. Okay. Yeah, full control full control of the model on the data, and no hallucinations for sure. That's what companies are looking at, and they look for incumbency, which is more of do these guys know what they are doing? So people believe OpenAI or Cohere because they got big funding, big fact checks, or they have been on top of everything right now. But we have been, as I mentioned, we have been doing a conversation intelligence for a while, and we have learned a lot from our customers, existing customers, and also prospects, understanding what they want to do really from conversations. Let me talk about, so they also look for reliability. So this is where these are all the tasks Nebula could perform. Could be summarization, it could be topics, understanding action items, and also apart from that, we could do, you could ask Nebula for or a JSON response based on the conversation for your answers. And that is, that's why we also built, as I mentioned previously, we also built call score insights UI from Nebula that is powered by our language model. It is great in understanding the intents of the conversation, what's happening, the nuances of the conversation. That's where it shines in, and this is because it is continuously trained on communication data. It could be sales, it could be customer success, it could be your emails, meetings, chat, and so on. It could be all forms of communication data, I would say. This is because we focus on, as I mentioned, reliability is one of the key points in large language models right now. We focus on the conversational task to make for the LLM to be best at. That's why we also designed this framework called CUTE, which is conversational understanding and tasks evaluation. We've been working with different academia to understand what is the best way to really evaluate a large language model for a conversational tasks. You could look at multiple metrics such as routes to scores, or ARC, or some of the BERT F1 scores and so on, in multiple websites saying that, okay, OpenAI did this, Cohere did this, and so on. But how do you truly understand if the large language model performed a task better? Ultimately, the best one is a human evaluation, and that's the reason we're focusing on this CUTE evaluation, which is our in-house framework to evaluate a large language model, how it's performing on a certain task. So this is so nonetheless, I'm showing a few numbers on how Nebula performs with other models. Truly, we beat GPT 3.5 here. We haven't included GPT-4 and GPT-4 Turbo because we are still running evaluations on it. So AI2 reasoning challenge, or popularly known as ARC challenge, is a set of multiple choice questions to understand if the LLM has the capability of answering those or not. And if you look at the exact match references for Nebula, it's almost there. And sorry, this is HelloSwag, my bad. HelloSwag is a test for large language models to understand the natural language inferencing of the conversational tasks. Is the large language model able to truly understand the hypothesis of the context, and is it able to provide a right answer from the given context without taking the external knowledge base and without hallucinating. That's a metric. We're almost there. So does anyone understand what is the difference between 0.79 and 0.82? So truly there is no qualification of this quantified metric unless and until you truly do a human evaluation. So Nebula, as I mentioned, Nebula is a 42 billion parameter here model. So we have both instruct and chat models, which is both of them are trained on the same data, but it could be used for different functionalities. That's the main motive there. Apart from that, we also have our embedding model created from our same conversation data for all, which truly understands the nuances of the conversation. You can use Nebula embeddings to convert them into vectors for historic transcripts or some other knowledge base, external source knowledge base. And so the truly core value of embeddings would be clustering your conversation data and search products for sure. And you can also make your so truly, I'm going to say a domain-specific model that you can make Nebula to. So, for example, if you are a service company, for example, there is a ServiceNow database that your company is using, and you want your agents to answer. If they don't know an answer, you want the agents to know where exactly the problem lies for this question and what is the right answer. So you can search Nebula. You can ask the large language model, and large language model could go get it with the same embeddings. It could go and bring in the right answer from your knowledge base, which technically it's I'm sure you have heard of it. It's called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. That's where the embeddings come into play. And speaking about comparisons with other models, we are a lighter model for sure, and we're faster than OpenAI's ADA model. So in terms of semantic text similarities, and so where are we now, and where are we heading towards? It's something that I want to talk about too. So currently, Nebula has a context window of 16,000. You could think, oh, you only have 16,000 now. OpenAI has 32,000, or in the future it will be having 64,000, and also Claude 2 has 200,000 tokens context window. So did anyone read the paper Lost in the Context? So essentially the paper says, if you give a 200,000 token context length, it doesn't take account into all the 200K context length. It only takes a few parts of the conversation, understands from it, and generates you an answer for that. So that is the reason rather than increasing the context length, we are focusing on understanding the entire context length that is given by the user, and that's where we are working towards 32,000 and 64,000. And as I mentioned, the Qt evaluation, we are highly focused on that too. And our embeddings are 2,000 length context length right now, and we're working towards 4,000. We're testing 4,000 right now, and we'll be soon. We'll also work on 8,000 soon, and currently it's 768 dimensions, and will soon be 1,024 dimensions. Nebula is currently available in chat and instruct models, and we'll soon be. We are working towards continuous interaction, and continuous learning. That's where you would see Nebula coming in while interaction. Nebula coming in and say, "Hey, this is not the right way to answer," or "This is the right way to answer," giving you on the without you triggering something. It is going to come and help you answer better or perform better in your work. And I'm sure you've heard of Gemini, Google's Gemini recently, which is a multi-model large model where it truly takes images, audio, video, it's all kinds of data. So it's all forms of data, and So we are currently so as we are a conversation intelligence company, we also have our own ASR we are using to transcribe all the audio and video files or formats that come into our system, and we transcribe them and feed to Nebula, so that it could take, because Nebula is currently it only takes textual format right now, and that's the reason we are working towards multi-model model, so that it could take audio also in input and hopefully soon audio output as well. I would say why this is important for us is when you give a transcript, it does understand it, but the tone of the conversation, the pitch of the conversation is lost in that. The expression and the intent could be understood, but the expression of how the users are speaking is lost in there. So that's the reason multimodal is important for conversations, to at least to take the audio formats. And speaking about multilingual support, so Nebula, apart from English, it also understands French, German, Italian, and Spanish. And we're going to also introduce a few more dialects and accents. And if any customer comes in and asks, hey, we want some other language to be supported, yeah, we definitely could do a fine-tuning process and work with you. Cool. This is something it's not apart from Nebula. This is a product that I designed too, which is called the value accelerators that I say, which is one of it is call score and insights UI. Why we thought about this is, speaking of being an applied AI product manager. We have been an infrastructure company, infrastructure and platform company, but for companies or developers to have, especially for product teams to see the immediate value, people everyone needs out-of-the-box experiences right now tailored for their specific use cases. And that is where these come in. These are pre-built RUIs that you are seeing right now. I'm going to show you a quick demo of it too. So we have call score, so which essentially scores the representative or agent or the speaker in a general conversation, I would say. So we have specifically designed an algorithm or the way to score a representative to truly understand, okay, what did the person communicate and engage best with the other person or not on the call? Did they follow a particular process adhering to your company's scripts? Or it could be, did the agent handle questions properly? Did the agent answer all of them? How did the agent handle objections? So all of those would be taken care of with call score. And ever wondered your sales team or contact center team or any other meeting notes to be very scratchy? When you look at, for example, if you're a product team, I mean, head of product, one of the people is from head of product. If someone looks at the notes, meeting notes of the product team notes, it could be very scrappy. And if the product manager, if the group product manager or head of product looks at it, people wouldn't understand that. So this is the insights UI that you're seeing in the details view is going to give you a detailed notes of all the conversations that your meetings in. It contains summary, sentiment, all the questions asked and answered, all the action items of the call, and so on. Both of these are powered by Nebula. That's something very, very curious. Cool. Let me quickly give you a demo of Nebula. That's what. Let me quickly give you a demo of Nebula, Insights UI and call score, and then Nebula. Okay. Cool. So here is the Insights UI. Let me go back and list page first. So should be there here. Sure. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Cool. All right. I don't have this. Let me show you the list page, but this is called a details page, Insights UI details page that you're seeing right now. This is a conversation one of the conversations I processed with one of our sales teams on how they are demoing right before this right before this meeting. So you could see that what is the call, when was the call performed, who are all the speakers, what is you could see the sentiment that is generated by Nebula. You could choose multiple formats of it to be paragraph. You could choose short, medium, long, based on how much time you have to read the and how much time what do you want to learn about the conversation. And you also see the sentiment of the conversation, how the trajectory went, and which points. What is the sentiment? Why is the sentiment high at this point? Why is the sentiment low at this point? You could learn that, and also a summary of the sentiment here. And if you scroll down, you will see the summary of a call score on how the representative performed on communication engagement, question handling, and forward motion. Did the representative make the conversation move forward in the process? What are the next steps? So that is there, and also what worked and what didn't work for the representative on how they performed on the call. So it could be, are they friendly or not in communication engagement? Yeah, but in a few instances, the conversation veers off the topic. So are they staying on the topic or not? So Nebula does understand that the nuances of the conversation, and how did they handle questions? Is there a forward motion or not? So why you could see what didn't work for the representative on forward motion is they did not provide a clear explanation of the product features, and this could be improved upon. Go ahead. Yeah. Understood. So good point you brought in. So if the customer is going to take you out of the topic, Nebula would understand that. That's where it comes in. So this Insights UI is again powered by Nebula. As I said, each of the Insights UI has its own prompt in the backend where it goes and fetches the data from Nebula. So Nebula would understand why who drove the conversation off, and all the prompts in the backend are very specific to how the representative. So if the representative took the conversation off the topic, it would know that. Otherwise, it would say, yeah, it's not their fault. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So all the transcription is here. That's yeah. Oh yeah, actually, this point, this is a timestamp. Are you looking for the timestamp here? So understood. So right now, yeah, you cannot, you do not have, because this is a generated one. So what you can do is, you can use our topics model, topics endpoint. Whenever you process a conversation, you could use our topics endpoint, get all the topics and identify because if you see this product feature and benefits, this could be a topic. This would be a topic. So you can search for the topic and identify where this what moment of the conversation they spoke about this topic. It's yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Also be flagged there, so just find it, right? Yeah. So every topic in the JSON response will have a timestamp on also this what are all the messages of the conversation pointed to this topic, and all of that should be there in the get topics endpoint. Yeah, that's a good point. Sure, I'll think about that. And you could see the next steps of the call. I'm keeping a tab on the time as well. Objections. So no objections found from the conversation, and also all the question and answers. So what are the questions, and how did the agent or the speaker answer the questions? All of that. And apart from that, you have transcription here. You can also search for a specific keyword. For example, the products and features that you mentioned, you can select that and go right to the conversation. I have one more. Should have one. Okay, this is not the one. Okay, let me talk about. Let me walk you through the Nebula playground. This is a playground that you can try right now. So Nebula is in private beta. Sign up for it. I'll share you the link. So let me. oops. Okay, let me try this. All right. So what you're seeing is Nebula Playground. On the left, you see the context that you can provide very soon. Yeah. Right now. If I if I zoom in, I don't. Yeah. Okay. Is it good? Yeah. It doesn't look great, but it's functional. Okay. So on the left side, you're seeing the context that you're giving to the conversation to Nebula, and also here is a prompt and or instruction that you could ask. Right now, I cannot type with one hand, so I'll generate suggestions to analyze. I can ask questions, so it's okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry to not introduce. This is Tyler, one of our strategic partnership person. So yeah, you can ask. So this is a product meeting stand up call sample. You can just understand how is the emotional tenor of the conversation. Let's understand how the intent works from Nebula. You can choose this. Okay. Yeah. Generate output. Yeah. On the right hand side, you're seeing the parameters probably very similar to ChatGPT or OpenAI's Playground, where you can choose the number of max tokens and the output should be, or also you can choose a temperature. You want the model to be more deterministic or very creative. So if you look at the conversation, so emotional tenor of the conversation is positive and optimistic. It's fairly so it doesn't give you a long answers like ChatGPT. Because it stays on the point. Try to be very crisp, simple, and easily to understand. And that's where it is. Let's see other so click on this plus. It's not only that, so you can input your transcript right now. If you want to test it out, you can input your transcript and click on done. Yeah, you can ask the questions to Nebula and generate answers from it. Yeah. So there is one more. This is one more transcript that I added, which is in German right now. I don't understand German, but I learned that this is a customer support call where they have login. The customer has a logging issues. Let's ask what is the issue of the conversation. Okay, so the conversation about customer named Max, who has trouble logging into their account and too many failed attempts. It's fairly simple answers. So as I mentioned, Nebula is currently available for both instruct and chat models. This is the instruct model. Let's jump into the chat model as well. So here is a playground for chat model. What I did was I added the context for from Tesla's Q2 result financial and earnings call. Yeah. I'm just going to zoom in. Okay, this is best, I guess. So this is Tesla's Q2 results conference call. So let's chat with Nebula here. You scroll down, you can see the chat with who are all the conversation type, who are all the speakers on the conversation. Yeah. You would see you can on the top you see the company's participants. You would see the exact answer. So Elon Musk is there, Martin, Karn, and Lars, all of them. So a few other unidentified company representatives who has spoken on the conversation because they don't have any name in the transcript. So it identified as an unidentified company person, but it definitely brought them up. Not saying that we don't have those speakers in the conversation. You can also ask what are the key points that Elon brought in the conversation. Yep. No worries. Yeah, it will understand. So, I mean, Elon did definitely talk about achieving a vehicle record manufacturing units, and they definitely mentioned licensing the full self-driving beta. Cool. Any questions in there? Okay, go on, Danny.
differently, have different physical skills, i.e. challenged. And it
Uh-huh.
looks like this interface is more textual oriented. How would you handle
Right.
that, or how can you handle that?
So yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, we are working towards multi-model model. So we are hoping to have it soon. Our data science team and ML engineering team is working on it. But that's where we wanted to move in. Currently, yeah, based on our capabilities and on our research, right, that we are doing, we are working. We are going to have the multi-model model soon, where you could input audio as a language, and then and soon after that, video too. Yeah.
Python for a screen reader? Because I mean, for a screen reader, for the output is all textual, right? So
Yep. Everything is text-based right now. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead. Yeah. So ultimately,
Is it just the context maintaining between?
no. So it's for sure. So there is definitely a context maintenance and coherence. Apart from that, so there are different functionalities in for our customers specifically. So if you provide just the instruct model, you wouldn't be able to. The customer should be building chat interface on their side, or the infrastructure or the backend coding. So with this chat model, it's easy to adopt, and out of the box too. That's the reason. Yeah. Go ahead.
If you feed in different, let's say, conversations, can it find patterns between those different conversations?
Sure.
Let's say I want to focus on one agent. I want to see if there's a pattern that's happening.
For sure. Yeah, that's completely possible with Nebula here. You could, so in the 16,000 context length, you could do that. Otherwise, you can build a RAG application, pull all the conversations of a specific representative or agent, and identify patterns on how they performed on different calls in different stages of the conversation. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
System like can process.
So right now there is no limit right now. So apart from so because this is in private beta, we are you can sign up for it, but we are there is a limit on rate. There is a rate limiting for sure, but it's not. It's only it's only because we're trying to avoid spamming right now because it's in private beta. But we don't have any limits for right.
Okay, so I just wanted to understand how big is the system actually, like multiple users requesting on the API, like how
So
many?
it's completely on infrastructure. We can scale up the pods and increase the capability of it. So it's on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you pull for the tenor and the sentiment? Do you pull from the Ravdas data set, the Ryson audio, visual, emotional speech, and song data set, or is it from your own data set that you try to infer if the speaker is being sarcastic or sad or serious, emotional tone?
Definitely a great question. So because I don't have an answer for it, I could definitely point you to our director of AI who can answer you that question, because I can speak to the architecture, but the data that it is trained on, I do not have complete visibility into it. But yeah, I can point you to our AI person. Yeah, go ahead. It can come to you.
How do you reduce hallucinations, and how do you protect customer privacy?
Yeah. Let me talk about hallucinations first. Yes, there are a lot of questions on hallucinations and concerns from developers and companies for sure. So we have set up guardrails and our system, and we have in the pre-training phase we have been very optimistic and vitalistic for Nebula to answer questions. If it doesn't know the answer, it shamelessly says I don't know the answer. That's what that's how we built it, and we have set up guardrails that and also speaking about data privacy, we do not. So whatever you play around it, we do not save or share any data. So no data is going to be used for training the model. We only use the data that that if customers ask us to train it and fine tune it. Otherwise, we do not choose that data. Yeah. Go ahead.
So this uses a RAG-based approach to
No.
generate the summary.
No, this is not a RAG-based approach. That's the reason we have a system prompt which has a context in it. This is not a RAG-based approach. So you can build RAG-based approach. I can talk to you personally on the architecture of RAG.
Yeah.
So where you can use our embedding model to convert all your knowledge base into vectors and store it in a vector database. And you can pull that vector database from when you ask a question to Nebula, you can convert the prompt into a vector, go to the vector database, do a cosine similarity search, and come back with an answer.
Yeah. So this doesn't use a RAG-based approach. I'm assuming that the entire context or the entire transcript is sent to the LLM and you get these.
Correct.
summary.
Yes. That's the reason we have a system prompt or a context in the instruct model. Yeah.
So one problem that most of these LLM faces is that if the context is around 4K, you get issues around lost in the middle where you might not have the entire summary getting captured. So how do we know that this is exhaustive? Like say when you asked, give me the entire thing about.
Okay, so you're asking how should you? I mean,
from a chat based, when you look at a conversation like a call conversation, the problem that you see is it's pretty long.
Yeah.
So and I'm assuming that the token sizes here must be like
No.
the number of tokens that you send to the LLM is pretty high.
For sure. So the 16,000 context length is only for the input context right now. So we can, as you take that, that's a good question actually. So I need to ask my AI guy for sure, because if you keep asking questions, it would definitely increase the context length, could be 32,000 tokens too. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to get back on this. Any further questions? All right. All right. Feel free to ask questions after the next presentation. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our program hasn't finished yet. We have one more presentation today. And we started with a technical presentation about the PMG project, and we are going to finish with a technical presentation about the PMG project. We started with information about project, which already went live several months back, which is already used by a large number of users. Now, but on the other hand, that was kind of simple project because yes, we are using human text to generate query, basically text to query, not something super unique. Now we are going to talk about a different type of project that we have in PMG, something that we are still exploring, something that we are still working on, and it didn't go live yet. With that in mind, let me welcome Jerry. Jerry, Jerry's here. Jerry's here. Who is going to talk about our... I don't even want to say the name of the project because it's internal name and we are going to change it in the future. But basically, it's a quite advanced use of LLMs. It's using GenAI for ad trafficking. Jerry, do you need this mic or do you need... or you have this one? Okay, cool, wonderful. Okay, let's give a round of applause to Jerry.
Give me 1 second, I'm getting set up. Can you hear me? Probably should put this higher up. Better? Can you hear me? All right. Nah. Where am I going to put it? Better? Maybe better. Hello, hello. Test. Better? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think it's fine. All right. All right. How do I get this on the screen? I know. You told me before. Give me 1 second. Screen mirroring. ATX South. Self-timing. Oh. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Welcome to PMG. My name is Jerry, and we're going to talk about the future of marketing, GenAI driven automation and ad trafficking. I'm assuming no one knows what ad trafficking is, but I'll start with introducing myself. I'm from Berlin. I'm from Germany. I started coding when I was 14. I came from a hacking background. I worked for various startup incubators, various enterprises, and I moved to the US in 2020. So if you hear my accent, forgive me. All right. I'm a technical lead and engineering manager at PMG. I call myself a professional problem solver. Just, we all solve problems. That's our main thing. That's what we do. And I'm spearheading PMG's AI efforts. Let me see if that clicker works. There we go. All right. So our agenda today, we're just going to talk about what ad trafficking is, because I'm assuming you're all not marketing majors. We're going to talk about how complicated it is and how we try to solve it with LLMs and our path there. What is ad trafficking? Ad trafficking is a mix of strategy, timing, and understanding demographics, right? It all starts with setting up your ad, then figuring out your target audience. For example, a sneaker might be more attainable to a teenager, whereas a car is more attainable to an adult, right? Then we have the placement part. Do you want to have it on your mobile phone? Do you want to have it on a desktop? Do you want to have it on YouTube, right? Then we talk about timing, scheduling, right? You don't want to get up at 12 a.m. on Black Friday to post your ad, right? So you got to schedule these things ahead of time. And then monitoring and tweaking, right? So let's say you have an ad that you put $1,000 on and it's performing really well. There are a lot of impressions, there are a lot of clicks, people really like it. In that case, you probably want to put more budget on it. Let's say like 10,000 or $1 million or something, right? And then we're going to talk about reporting. Reporting is just creating reports for our clients like Nike, McDonald's, so on, right? They want to know how did their ads perform, how much did they spend, stuff like this. Our current process, it's very manual. We have 5 data points that go into each ad. It's the budget, the audience, the testing strategy, ad copy, and media. And it's a very disconnected and tedious process. We have 8 sources of truth, 10 different vendors, 5 QA processes, and obviously we want to try to unify that. Oh, am I in the way? So 21% of a marketer's time goes into ad trafficking, 5% on monitoring, 6% on QA, 10% on the actual trafficking, which boils down to around 34 hours a month that they spend on that. If we add reporting in there, we're going to be around 50 hours a month. So you can already see if we automate this whole thing, it's going to save us a lot of money. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Right? We went like last year, end of last year, LLMs became the big, huge thing. And since this is such a complex domain and LLMs can solve complex tasks, we thought, okay, maybe we could solve it with LLMs. We went to prompt architecting. Does anybody know what prompt architecting is? Yeah, all right. All right, so we started with one big prompt. It's probably not readable from the back there, but it's a huge prompt, right? And this prompt's comprised of multiple parts, instructions, restrictions, goals, you name it. So here you can see, we actually created CSV files with like hundreds of rows that have the context, examples, input explanations, restrictions, whatsoever, right? And we're trying to find a way of getting the most efficient prompt. So that's why we did prompt architecting. And in this picture, you can see actually an architected prompt. It actually also, I think this does not work. It also references the CSV file there. So prompt architecting resulted in 16 million prompt permutations. Just imagine executing 16 million prompt permutations. That can be a lot of money, right? So we cut it down to around 6,000. How did we do this? We just chose by random because we didn't know. We were like 16 million. How are we going to filter this? We ran those against GPT-4. And then we validated the results with the Levenstein distance calculation. Since we had a very binary result, it was just a JSON string that came out of it, right? We knew, okay, if the string matches and the distance is not too far, probably going to be right. And that resulted in 100 prompts with 100% match against our validation scheme. So then we went from there, okay, we have all these prompts. How do we automate all this stuff now? And we decided to use LangChain. It's venture-backed, it's an open source framework, gave us all the tools we needed to actually just rapidly prototype our proof of concept. It enabled us to use multi-step actions, use CSV files, CSV document loaders. We didn't have to have like a huge database, didn't have to do all the RAG stuff. We heard about this before. Okay. So here's an example where we used LangChain. So you can see on the top, it creates a new campaign in the test platform. Obviously, it's a test. And makes decisions based on the prompt. We referenced that CSV file, right? So it made the decision to actually look at the CSV file and then generates things on that. Here's a 100% result. At this point, our POC was proven. We knew, okay, an LLM can actually figure out a complicated choice. Problems with our approach. I'll take questions after, right? It required an extensive manual labor. You've seen all these CSV files, right? And all of them had hundreds of lines of entries. And we had our product managers go in there, create various prompt variations. And yeah, obviously that wouldn't scale to production. So it only supported one vendor. It did not support any further API versions. It was too costly to run. It cost around 20 cents per execution. And if you calculate 60 million multiplied by 20 cents, well, it's like, that's crazy, right? Let's say we have 1 million executions per month. That's a legitimate number for us. And each of those would be 20 cents. We would be spending $200,000 a month. That's crazy. Right here, you see some manual labor. Hope it's visible. Just a CSV file, some JSON output that we validated against. So anytime there would be a new API version from our vendor, we would have to go in and create all that manual stuff, right? So did someone say it has to scale? Obviously, it has to scale, right? We had our POC proven, but we didn't know how to scale it. RAG versus fine-tuning. What do you guys think? Is RAG the right approach here? Is fine-tuning the right approach? Raise your hand. Who thinks RAG is the right approach? RAG. Who thinks fine-tuning is the right approach? All right, a lot of neutral people here. And the winner is RAG. Right, why RAG? And why not fine-tuning? Fine-tuning just costs a lot of money, right? We have a lot of changing data, a lot of new things. We have 10 vendors. Each of these vendors, I think they release a new API version every 3 months. It's crazy, right? So if we would have to fine-tune our models on 10 different vendors that each change every 3 months, we would spend a lot of money. So RAG does support dynamic content, right? You can just load it into the vector storage and then go from there. Who knows what RAG is? Raise your hand. All right. So this is a simplified diagram of it, right? On the bottom left, you'll see the data ingestion. that goes up to information extraction, chunking, embedding, then putting it in the actual vector storage. And a user is querying, we embed that query, and we search our vector storage, we give the relevant data back to our LLM, and it spits out our JSON. We had a chunk size of 4,000 tokens, and we did an overlap of 50. And we used the character text splitter with a sentence transformer. So our new approach, how do we do this? We started crawling vendor documentation. Not all vendors support like open API formats and so on, right? So we started with Meta and yeah, crawling documentation, filtering, cleaning the docs, chunking, all that stuff, embedding it, storing it as vectors, retrieving it from the vector storage, re-ranking it, generating code based on that, and then executing that code. By code, I mean, it's usually API calls. So is there one model that can do all of these things? At the moment, I don't think there is. We see in the release, I think last Friday it was, where Mistral released, what is that called? Mixtral, which is, what do they call it? Mixture of experts, right? That can do a lot of different things. But we needed a very solid, good approach here, right? We needed always correct results. So we went into model evaluation. What are we looking for in a model? Advanced reasoning. So there are multiple benchmarks. You can see them here. MMLU is one that is good for advanced reasoning. For code generation, we use human eval. For accuracy, we use superglue. For efficiency, we use glue. And then obviously low cost was a point and availability was a point. We landed on a proprietary model just for the advanced reasoning capabilities. It's just a large language model that can do a lot of things. It's from Anthropic, it's called Claude. It has a MMLU score of 78.5, which is lower than GPT-4, but it gave us better results, even with a zero-shot prompt. Does everybody know what a zero-shot prompt is, what a few-shot prompt is? Raise your hand if you know. All right, not a lot of people. So a zero-shot prompt, just imagine you're teaching your friend a new game, right? And you're not telling him how this game will work. You're just like, okay, let's play. That would be a zero-shot prompt. There are no instructions. The friend doesn't know anything about it. A few-shot prompt would be, you explain your friend the game. You explain the rules, you explain everything, right? So your friend will learn from what you taught him. All right. That's few-shot and zero-shot prompting. For code generation, we actually used DeepSeek Coder. It's a fairly new model, but it gives really, really good results. For HTML extraction, we used OpenChat. It's also a fairly new model. Both are open source, both are really, really legit. And for embeddings, we opted for, it's called All MQNet base version 2. Why did we choose that model? There was another model, it's called UAE. They all have weird names. So UAE large version 1, right? That's leading the benchmark for embeddings. But we wanted a proven model that works. Just, it works, right? That other people tried it, it just works. So we went for the second one. Okay, now I'll show you a demo how we used reinforcement learning with human feedback. User adds its prompt, right? On Facebook, I want to create a new ad set, loyalty promo, existing traffic campaign, targeting women. So what happened in the background is that our LLM actually went into our database, checked everything, right? We retrieved all the stuff from our vector storage. And then the user sees that there are 3 missing fields. So the user puts in all these 3 missing fields. What we do in the background is we save it in a Postgres database. And at some point, we'll have enough data to actually train our own model. At the moment, we don't. So we're just saving all of this for later use. Challenges and solutions. Challenges. I think we heard it before in the other talk, context length. Context length is a huge challenge in large language models, right? We had huge prompts with a lot of JSON and so on, so we kept on hitting context limits. So one solution to that would be MemGPT, which is a fairly new implementation by, I think, two researchers from Berkeley. But it's so new, it would not be a production use case. It's so new, it has bugs, right? But it's a very, very promising solution. What we opted to was the large context LLM, which is Claude, which has a 200,000 token limit. And they're actually fairly good at scanning through all the content, retaining it. Hallucinations, right? We all hear about hallucinations in LLMs, and it's horrible. You don't like, especially if you're talking about budget for ads. Let's say it hallucinates with, oh yeah, let's put $1 million on that. And it's a really bad ad. Well, that would be really bad. So we could use knowledge graph databases to actually retain context, and it reduces hallucinations. Crawling dynamic documentation. So all of these vendors have dynamic documentations. It's like no IDs, no classes. It's all DX_7 something, right? So how did we cope with that? We used Playwright. I don't know if you guys know. It's a Python library to actually crawl content. I think it's mostly used for QA, but we used it to crawl the documentation. And we used an LLM to actually extract the content. For validation, we used multiple algorithms to basically validate our string output and stuff, right? It's fairly binary, right? It's either correct or it's not correct. So we used the Levenshtein distance calculation, and that worked. But if we want to do this on scale, we need to actually do synthetic data. Trust. How are the users ever going to trust this? If you're talking about big money, you really need to check, right? So we just implement this create process that you just seen, right? So they always have to go in, they have to check it, they have to fill things in that are not there. And yeah. Q&A. Any questions? Yes, please. Wait, let me get your microphone.
I don't know if you can answer it, but let's say a client buys a Beats headphones, right? Could you
repeat it? Sorry.
Let's say a client of yours buys like Beats headphones, right? You guys are marketing it, and then how do you stop or reduce the ads appearing to that client who already bought that product?
How do you stop the use of ads that are already on there on the platform? Or?
Yeah, they already bought the product that you're trying to sell. How do you like stop or reduce the marketing to that client for that product that they already own?
Right. I mean, it's not really relating to this use case, but that would be cookies, for example, or pixels, right? We would have to have like a knowledge base of that. Any other questions?
I'd like to defer to a point where you said RAG is better than fine-tuning. So it completely
I didn't say it's better.
It's winning. So
it was better for our use case, yes.
Okay, yeah, for your use case, but so there is a subtle difference, I would say, when it comes to fine-tuning and RAG. If you want to answer from your domain-specific data, then RAG is the best. But if you want to answer in a certain format, or if you want to answer it in a certain style, then you should fine-tune. Is something that I understand.
Right. I mean, what you're talking about is alignment, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So alignment via reinforcement learning, for example, right?
Okay.
Right. But that doesn't work for us because we have 10 different vendors that all have different APIs that change almost on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Right. How you I mean, obviously, if you have the money, you can fine-tune that model all the time. But for our use case, it's a proof of concept, right? So we were very limited in the amount we could spend.
So what if different customers need different style of answering? How would you do that with RAG?
What do you mean? But there's no different style, right? It's either it made the correct choice to push these ads out, or it did not. There's no different style in there.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, I got a question about the context. Like you're saying it's a problem, but now all of these models seem to be having greater context. Like you said, not just Claude, but some of these others.
Right.
When you combine with RAG, would you say that problem is getting solved, or is it still an issue?
No, because what RAG basically does, it actually enriches the context just with the stuff you retrieved. Yeah, I mean, compress, you mean summarize. You could summarize, right? But we need to retain that we need to really retain that context because it has to be correct. I don't think it's going to solve, RAG is not going to solve your context length issue. Okay. I understand. Right. I don't think it's going to solve this issue, right? So we still need a database of all this knowledge, right? We need to put it somewhere. I mean, obviously we could use, I don't know, Postgres or whatever else you want, any relational database. But I think the vector storage is the right solution here. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the prompt architecturing.
You want me to go back?
Section. Oh, no, you.
All right.
So I guess I was a little confused how you're generating the 16 million prompts, and I was wondering if you had recommendations for getting like a strong pipeline of prompts to test out.
Right. I mean, it was a lot of manual labor, right? It was not, obviously we didn't do the 60 million, but we did. Let me go back here. So if you look at this, right, we have multiple CSV files. We have context, examples, input, explanation, instructions, output, restrictions, so on, right? And on the top part, you can see how we built the prompt, right? So each of these CSV files had around like 100 or more rows. And then we just took data from all of these CSV files and put them together in prompts, right? And that resulted in the 60 million.
Yeah, like different combinations. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, my question was the slide variant of his question.
Could you repeat?
So my question is slide variant of his question. So when I've been looking on the web, you may have already answered it, but I repeatedly see the same ad, and it's definitely in a short time window. Sometimes the same ad comes twice. How do you?
Right. You have an ad blocker?
No.
No. I don't know, use different browsers or something?
Using a Mac, Safari, Chrome. So
I mean, Safari has a do not track thing, right? So maybe it's not us, right? But
I would
in
say
general,
that's
it's not
more of a spray and pray approach to marketing, where they essentially try to put a lot of budget behind and hope that as many people see it as possible. And so answering his question, the historic answer was cookies, which are little things tracking you on websites, and obviously privacy laws are changing, so it's a little harder to do. But what that allowed marketers to do is say, hey, you just booked a cruise. You're not going to book another cruise. Maybe you are. But we're going to exclude you from the targeting list because you just purchased something. So that's the way we like to do marketing, is more ethical, more digital, made for humans. But sometimes, there are companies that their approach is just to target everyone as much as possible and hope that they get a return on that investment.
They just wear you down until you buy it. Yeah.
The person putting that ad in front of you probably needs to look at the fatigue on that ad, because you're not getting a great return on investment.
Yeah, right. That's expensive. All right. Any other questions? No? All right. Let me go back here. Yeah, the conclusion. Get ahead of the curve, start innovating, right? I think every industry and every business will start implementing AI. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. Get ahead of the curve, start innovating. There are crazy amounts of tools out there. There are a lot of tutorials. I'll share these slides with you, and in the appendix, I put a lot of content so you guys can check it out. Just start coding, start doing it. And I'll end this with showing the limitations of LLMs, right? It's still very early. It's a very early technology, but it's so powerful that everybody wants to use it. So here's a limitation. What's the difference between an LLM and a large cappuccino? Neither has any original thought. What's the difference between an LLM and a wet noodle? The wet noodle can still inspire creativity. So this is brought to you by GPT-4 yesterday or whatever, right? So this is still very, very recent, still bad at doing jokes. And that's it. Thank you. Here's my LinkedIn if anybody wants it.
Okay, thank you so much. There are different awards for best employers. Best employer in marketing industry, best employer in Dallas, best employer for moms. You can think of different types of awards. PMG has won over 50 of them. Why am I telling you it? Because Jerry is one of hiring managers. Jerry is one of those people who is actually looking to hire new engineers. So please stay after the presentations are over and chat with Jerry, and we have a few more hiring managers here. And speaking of hiring, let's invite our friends from People and Culture, our friend from People. Oh, yeah, of course. Who will tell you more about whom we are looking for and how we are hiring people.
All right. Well, I do not have an awesome slide or deck to show any of you. But what I can tell you a little bit about what we are looking for. I mean, actually, Vlad and team can probably give you a better perspective of all the positions that we have. A lot within software engineer for sure, DevOps, analyst roles that we're going to have. But more importantly, I mean, as you guys can see from even from the presentation that that Abdullah had, there's a constant evolution to what's happening within Alli, right? So that's a constant evolution to the teams, the people that we're looking for, how we're hiring, how we want to look towards the future. There's a lot that we had a chance to complete in 2023. There's a lot more that we want to have done in 2024. So our hiring needs are just continuously evolving. You guys, I know Vlad talked a little bit about some of the acquisitions that we had. Our needs within PMG and specifically supporting Alli are going to be things that we're going to be looking forward to in 2024. So whether it's any of you in this particular room now or people that you might know, you guys saw some great presentations. You probably have a pretty good idea of some of the skill sets that we're looking for within the world of AI and how we're trying to evolve our own systems. So if you have questions, whether it's related to PMG or anything else within our hiring efforts, et cetera, I'm going to hang out. Feel free to reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's have some more talks about some stuff. Maybe there's people that you know in general within the world of advertising that you could recommend. There's a lot more to PMG that goes beyond the world of technology. Yes, we're very much rooted in all of that, but we had some very spirited conversations with regards to advertising and why ads don't seem to go away when you really want them to. But we do a lot to support our clients. We do a lot to be an extension of them and be a true partner to the organizations that they are. We support some amazing, amazing brands within PMG. And so everybody knows somebody. So if you do know that somebody, just let me know and I'm happy to have some conversations with you. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions for me? I can try and do my best to answer something, but not nearly as cool as everybody else. All right.
Thank you. And finally, if you final words from our friends from Symbol AI, and we switch to, well, we can't live all this food and all this wine, right? So
if you guys want a t-shirt or anything, we have some pins and t-shirts up here. Feel free to grab one. We got different sizes and whatnot. As well as if you'd like to continue a conversation, I'm happy to talk. Tyler Solis. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you. So grab some food or some wine and let's chat. Let's talk. If you're interested in what our friends from Symbol AI are doing or what PMG is doing, talk to us. We are happy to answer your questions or talk to each other.